It's a ghost story from the ocean. If she did what she said she was doing, she should have made it to another island. It's the one we've whispered about for nearly a century. We never hear from her again. She's been gone 87 years, and we still don't have a definitive answer as to what happened to her. The Newly Airport, a fearless woman, vanished into thin air, leaving no wreckage, signals, or answers behind. For 88 years, the Pacific held its silence. One of our members, we're a membership organization, called me and said, "Hey, we got a theory about Amelia Earhart." But in 2025, something stirred on the ocean floor, a sonar ping, a glint of metal, and a pattern that didn't belong to nature. It belonged to Amelia Earhart. With cutting-edge technology and undeniable proof, the truth is rising from the depths. The mystery is no longer what happened to her, it's why we never found her until now. The woman who defied gravity long before her name became legend, Amelia Earhart, was already redefining what a woman could be in an age when flying was still new and women pilots were even rarer. She didn't just break records, she broke expectations. With her leather jacket, windswept hair, and sharp gaze, she became a symbol of possibility in aviation and in life. By the 1930s, she had already done what few dared to dream. She crossed the Atlantic solo. All eyes were on Amelia Earhart as she embarked on her quest to become the first woman to fly around the world. She set speed records. She flew higher, farther, and braver than anyone expected. But for Amelia, it was never enough to simply follow a path, she needed to create one. Her final mission would be the boldest yet, a flight around the world along the equator, the longest route possible. With navigator Fred Noonan at her side, Amelia Earhart and her navigator took off in a Lockheed A-10 Electra, a custom aircraft, chasing the horizon in a global arc that few had ever attempted. They made it far, across continents, oceans, and storms. But on July 2, 1937, something went wrong. As they neared the speck of Howland Island in the vast Pacific, the plan was for them to land and refuel at Howland, after which they'd continue to Honolulu and then make the flight to Oakland, and that was a flight that had been made before. Her voice crackled over the radio, "We are on the line 157 to 337. We are running north and south." Then, silence. No distress call. No confirmed crash. No goodbye. Just two people, an aircraft, and a world holding its breath. It was the last time anyone ever heard from Amelia Earhart, or so we thought. The vanishing became 1937's greatest mystery. Within hours of Amelia Earhart's final transmission, alarm bells rang across the globe. The U.S. Navy and Coast Guard launched what would become the largest and most expensive air-sea search in history. 9 ships, 66 aircraft, 250,000 square miles of ocean scanned, and yet nothing. No oil slick. No floating debris. No sign of the Lockheed Electra or its 2 passengers. It was as if the Pacific had swallowed them whole. President Roosevelt authorized a full-scale emergency response. Radio operators replayed every static-filled second of Earhart's final words, searching for hidden meaning. Experts debated wind directions, fuel limits, and celestial navigation errors, but all they found was more uncertainty. The disappearance was as devastating as it was baffling. Amelia hadn't just vanished, she'd done so at the height of her fame. Her mission was followed by millions. Her face was known in every newspaper. To lose her, with no explanation and no closure, turned tragedy into obsession. Rumors grew. Did she veer off course and crash into the sea? Did she find land and survive as a castaway? Did hostile forces in the Pacific Theater capture her? With every year that passed, the silence deepened. And in that silence, the mystery of Amelia Earhart only grew louder. The ocean had taken something more than just a person. It had taken a symbol, and until now, it never gave anything back. For decades, the void left by Amelia Earhart's disappearance became fertile ground for speculation. Without a confirmed crash site, debris, or bodies, the world filled in the blanks with imagination and sometimes, desperation. One of the most enduring ideas was the crash and sink theory. It suggested that Amelia simply ran out of fuel and ditched into the Pacific near Howland Island. Clean, plausible, but lacking evidence. Multiple expeditions scanned the seabed near her last known coordinates, each returning empty-handed. Then came the Gardiner Island theory, now called Nikamoro. This uninhabited atoll lay far south of Earhart's planned flight path. Some believed she landed there and survived for a time as a castaway. A woman's shoe was found. A fragment of aluminum. Even a bone. But none of it could be definitively linked to Amelia or Fred Noonan. DNA testing would later cast doubt on all of it. Another theory turned political, that Japanese forces captured Earhart while she strayed into their territory. A photo emerged in 2017 claiming to show her in custody. It sparked headlines but was later debunked. The photo dated 2 years before she vanished. The most outlandish theory? She faked her death and returned to the US under a new identity. It's a story tabloids loved, but DNA evidence and historical records quickly dismissed it. None of these ideas answered the central question: where was the plane? It would take 88 years and revolutionary technology to finally begin uncovering the truth. The answer didn't come from a lucky dive or a chance sighting, it came from data. Layer upon layer of it. In 2025, a team of oceanographers, aviation historians, and data scientists pulled everything the world had ever gathered about Earhart's flight: radio signals, weather archives, fuel logs, and even psychological profiles of Amelia and Fred. Nothing was left out. Then they did something no one had done before: they fed it into a unified probabilistic model. This model didn't guess, it calculated. It accounted for every variable: wind drift, radio strength, likely decisions under stress. And then it pointed, with chilling certainty, to a new location: the Howland Basin. A deep, remote trench nearly 400 miles southeast of where anyone had been looking for decades. This region had been ruled out. Its complex underwater currents made it seem impossible for debris to stay visible or intact. But the model said otherwise. It predicted a debris path, long forgotten, shaped by tides and time. A new search was planned. This time, armed with precise coordinates, there would be no more scanning thousands of miles aimlessly. The target zone had been narrowed to just over 100 square miles. And this time, they weren't sending people, they sent machines. Autonomous drones powered by artificial intelligence and guided by sonar descended into the depths. 4 days, the Pacific stayed quiet. Then, on the 8th day, they saw it: a jagged outline, metal ribs that once held wings, scattered parts too symmetrical to be natural, and a pattern of wreckage matching the impact of a falling aircraft, one that had tried to land, not crash. The silence had finally cracked. The discovery wouldn't have been possible even 5 years earlier. The key was a fleet of revolutionary underwater machines, 5 synchronized drones known as ADE units, autonomous deep ocean explorers. These weren't like the remotely operated vehicles of the past. They could dive deeper, stay longer, and think for themselves. Each drone operated independently for up to 3 weeks, navigating pitch-black depths without surface communication. They scanned the ocean floor with next-generation synthetic aperture sonar, creating high-resolution 3D maps. These weren't just blurry outlines, they could identify objects the size of a coffee cup beneath 18,000 feet of water. What made this technology extraordinary was its adaptability. The sonar systems adjusted in real time to changes in water density, salinity, and temperature factors that previously distorted underwater imaging. Even debris buried under layers of silt could now be detected with stunning accuracy. On board, the drones processed sonar data using pattern recognition algorithms originally designed to detect cancer cells. These AI systems flagged manufactured shapes and clusters, distinguishing aircraft parts from rocks or coral formations with over 97% accuracy. And when the drones found something promising, they didn't just stop. They mapped the surrounding area, tracing how currents might have carried fragments over time. One by one, the signs became undeniable: a starboard engine mount, twisted landing gear, and fragmented radio equipment. This was no ordinary wreck. The tech hadn't just found metal, it had found a story, frozen in the deep. There are 3 traits on the image that we captured that really make us think we found the aircraft, and we've got a little model plane here. Once the debris field was confirmed, recovery began with surgical precision. This wasn't just about finding parts, but about unlocking a narrative, one artifact at a time. The most definitive piece was the starboard engine mounting assembly. Its serial number, H21216, matched exactly with Amelia's Lockheed Electra records. There was no doubt now. This wasn't a similar plane. This was her plane. Nearby, search teams recovered a portion of the landing gear. The metal bore compression patterns consistent with a deliberate water landing, not a chaotic crash. The angle, the impact marks, and the stress signatures all pointed to a controlled descent. Amelia had tried to save the plane. She hadn't panicked. She fought for survival until the very last second. Then came something even more personal, Amelia's flight jacket. Preserved by the cold and low oxygen environment, the leather was worn but recognizable. Stitch patterns and custom patch outlines matched photos from her final departure. And there was more, a small compact case, likely hers, and a partial navigator's toolkit etched with the initials FN, Fred Noonan. Inside the kit, weathered paper showed faint pencil marks, course corrections not on the official flight plan. They were trying to adjust. They were thinking, planning, reacting. Even fragments of the radio equipment told a story. The transmitter was still set to the international distress frequency, and the antenna appeared functional until impact. They tried to call for help right up until the end. The emergency survival kit was found open nearby. Items like fishing line, flares, and water tablets lay scattered on the seafloor, as if quickly retrieved in a panic. Amelia didn't vanish without a trace. She left proof that she fought and hoped for one more sunrise. For the first time in nearly a century, researchers could reconstruct Amelia Earhart's final hours, not with guesses, but with evidence. It began early on July 2, 1937. By 7:30 a.m., Amelia and Fred were close to Howland Island, within